oral communications will be limited to 5 minutes, except for our first speaker tonight, who will be Councilman Bill MacAloney. So, Jack, if you'll give us a minute, we'll be right with you.
Sorry about that, Jack. I'm going to be making some comments tonight that I've thought about for over a month now, and to make sure I put them in the right context. As you know, Villa Park has gotten a lot of press in the last month or so. I don't think it was necessary personally, but I had to sit here for 2.5 hours listening to testimony, and it was very tough for me to sit here and listen to some of the comments that were made. So I'm going to give you my comments, Mr. Attorney, and I think they're right on line. I don't think you're going to find a problem with them, but I'm going to mention some issues that I feel very much concerned about as our future of a city council of Villa Park. What is about to happen up here on the dais is something that should never occur in Villa Park. We should never be in a position of public admonishment of one another. However, Mrs. Pauly, you have admonished this council with a public microphone, telling others you were ashamed of your city council and they lacked courage. What goes around is now coming around. As a fellow member of this council, I am ashamed of your behavior on February the 13th, 2011 in Yorba Linda. My disappointment also focuses directly on your lack of courage in making a statement separating your personal opinions from the city of Villa Park and your failure to condemn the vile racist remarks made by others that evening. Many of the speakers at last month's council meeting reminded us that the U.S. Constitution affords our citizenry the freedom to say almost anything publicly without reprisal from the government. We call this freedom of speech. It is a part of the fabric of our society that makes us exceptional. The Constitution does not, however, protect the speakers from the consequences of their remarks. Councilman Pauly is within her constitutional rights to say almost anything, anytime. The U.S. Constitution, however, does not grant immunity from judgment of her words. The perception of the Yorba Linda video inflammatory comments made by Councilman Pauly have caused unnecessary suffering here in Villa Park. She has been asked to clarify and/or apologize for her remarks. Her statement to date have not sufficiently fulfilled this request. As a businessman, my first instinct is any situation is to ask, what is the benefit and what does it cost? There was no benefit from Pauly's appearance at the Yorba Linda event. Some people feel that an unsavory situation was taking place in Yorba Linda. If terrorist activities were being encouraged or supported in any way, shouldn't the FBI office in Santa Ana have been notified? If one does not possess enough proof to present to the police, one has no business making outrageous statements against speakers or attendees to this event. The result of her appearance did not have a positive impact, particularly in the war on terror. The cost side of the ledger can be articulated as follows. The most damaging issue is the reputation of our city. Villa Park's reputation may not be destroyed, but has been damaged. The monetary cost for the enhanced security was $14,000. I get a lot of people ask me what I make up here. I make zero, I make nothing. I give back of my time and energy to help Villa Park be a better community. This is obviously a bad deal. Since Mrs. Pauly has not yet made a proper apology, the only negative issue she can mitigate is number 2. I am asking her to reimburse the city of Villa Park for the monetary cost associated with this incident. When Mrs. Pauly speaks regarding national issues with a passion and intensity, she is commenting on issues clearly outside the dominion of her influence. So she has no elected responsibility for these national issues. Her statements and feelings in these matters are of no consequence to anyone. When she speaks, It is as an attention getter, not a problem solver. Mrs. Pauly, I respectfully request that you take this matter seriously and have responsibility for all the costs to the city of Villa Park in this matter. Thank you for listening to me.
Can be?
Yeah, good. I'm Wally Courtney. I live on Jocatall Avenue here in Villa Park. I was actually home watching the council meeting on TV, and I just drove over here because I wanted to thank Councilman MacAloney for having the time, effort, and energy to give the speech that a lot of us have been waiting to hear. I only heard the tail end of this lady's remarks, but I think the point she's missing was if Deborah Pauly hadn't been in Yorba Linda speaking out of line, there would have never been a need to pay the $14,000 for a police. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood out here today. It would have been a nice, quiet neighborhood out here a month ago. I'd like to thank you for making that speech. I commend you on doing that. And I'm surprised that it wasn't brought up at the last meeting. Just like you, a lot of us sat here for 2 hours listening over and over and over to all these people complaining to Mrs. Pauly about what she had done. And she sat there like she is right now with her mouth closed, with nothing to say. But she was out in the streets and out to other meetings, and she talks and talks and talks. She has plenty to say. So I'm here today to say, we're waiting. What do you have to say? Why can't you respond to your council members' response to your constituents' response? What are you doing about this? Why don't you speak up? What do we have to keep waiting for? It's amazing to me, Deborah, that you that you can continue to sit there like nothing's happening. But a lot of things are happening, but you act like nothing is. So we're here today to know, what are you willing to spend the money to reimburse? Do you have the money? Are you just going to pretend like no one asked you? What is your response? Do you have a minute to give us some kind of response?
I need to stop you, Wally. This is not the place for this. This is
All right,
oral
well, I appreciate that,
communications.
but she should take the time to make the time and let us know what she thinks to myself, the other members of the council that feel the same way, the other citizens of the city that feel the same way. She can go out to Yorba Linda and talk, but why isn't she talking to us? So we'd like to know, what is your response? When you have the time, let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hopefully
Wally.
you have the time tonight.
Mr. Litvin, for the benefit of residents, because it is frustrating when you come and give public comment and no one speaks back, perhaps you could make it clear what the appropriate behavior is during public comment so that that's understood by the council's appropriate behavior.
Correct. Well, generally, under public comment, you're supposed to address it to the council as a whole because the council as a whole acts. Council members, in response to public comment, can give brief responses if they so wish, but they're not required to. The council can't take any action on something brought up in public comment because it's not on the agenda.
You just said exactly what I wanted you to say. They have the right to speak if they want to. She apparently doesn't want to. That's what we're waiting to hear. What does she have to say? But so far, she said nothing. Even when a councilman makes a separate item to bring it up, she still has nothing to say.
But my point also, though, was that you're supposed to address the whole council. It's not a one-on-one conversation that you're supposed to have with council members just as a matter of propriety.
I'd be glad to do it in that manner if you'd like me to.
There's one other thing. Somebody had brought up the issue of somehow making other people pay for the police protection. I mean, under the First Amendment, you can't do that. That's specifically prohibited because it's deemed a chill on First Amendment speech. Many years ago, I think it was in Illinois, Skokie rings a bell. People used to come in for parade permits. I think it was the Nazis. And what the city tried to do was, okay, well, you can have a permit, but you have to pay for all the police protection. And the court said, no, you can't make somebody pay for the police protection just because other people are going to protest what they say, because that's a violation of the First Amendment. So I just wanted to throw out there that that's not constitutionally permissible.
Thank you, Todd.
Can I just follow up just very briefly? I'm not suggesting that she be forced to pay. I'm suggesting, just like the council member did, that she might offer to pay, or at least offer to give us an explanation, or offer to do something. So far, I haven't seen any offer, anything. And I, along with a lot of other citizens of Villa Park, are very disappointed about that, Deborah. I think you know that, and you know where to find me if you want to call me. I'll be glad to spread the word for you if you don't want to take the time to do it here. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nadia, and I was here last month, and I've lived in Villa Park for over 30 years, so Villa Park is home to me. And I just wanted to make it known that last month when we were here at the rally, there was about, I would say, close to 100 Villa Park residents who attended the rally. So not everybody was bussed in. Okay, that's the first point. Councilmember MacAloney, I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for being a man of conscience and for standing up and speaking out for truth, because not enough people are coming forward and speaking the truth when the truth needs to be spoken. And so I want to, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for that. Chris, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that you had that experience. And I want to apologize on behalf of all the people who were here, even though, you know, most of them I didn't know who they were, but I'm really sorry that you experienced that, because nobody should be subjected to that type of behavior. And I don't care what nationality, what religion, what race you come from, nobody should have to be subjected to that type of behavior. And Ms. Pauly, really, I mean, if you don't, you know, I think it's, you know, we're not asking you to pay, even though I found the sentiment, you know, to be, you know, quite appropriate, but an apology doesn't cost anything. You hurt people's feelings. You know, I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And if I hurt somebody's feelings, I will, even if I'm not at fault, even if I didn't mean it, it wasn't intentional, I'll go and I'll apologize. An apology doesn't cost anything. It's a humane thing to do, you know, and it's the right thing to do. And I personally sent a letter to you over a month ago, and you did not respond via email. And I CC'd all your colleagues. Until date, I'm still waiting, and I am your constituent. I've lived here my whole life. And I was very insulted that you couldn't even respond to your own constituent. My father was a U.S. Marine. So when you made those comments about the U.S. Marines, it really hit home. My father served this country in the Korean War with great honor, and he had nothing to say but great things about this country and about the U.S. Marines. And to use our U.S. Marines like that, to wish death upon any group of people is wrong. Islam is a religion, just like Christianity and Judaism, that roots from the Abrahamic faith. And their moral code all comes from the same, all the ethics come from the same moral code. They all teach justice. They all teach speak truth, impart justice to everyone, equality across the board, worship God, that's it. There is no craziness that we've been hearing lately about a religion of death. That doesn't exist. So we're all here, we're brothers and sisters in humanity. We have one set of parents, Adam and Eve. We all came from the same set of parents. And I love all my brothers and sisters in humanity. So we're just asking you just for an apology, that's it.
Thank you, Nadia.